It's like, oh, fine. Don't bother doing what a tree can do just as well. I've been away for 3 months. I'm still weird. I did promise. And I've called it Haboob. Just because I wanted to say ha, boob in a video. Yes. This is exactly as I wanted it to look. I'm really, really chuffed with this. Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Consider yourselves rickrolled. Hey everybody, how's it going? So thanks for coming along to episode number 3 of Grosvenor Gardens. If you're checking this out for the first time, you're absolutely welcome along. Thanks for coming along for the ride. And of course, if you're coming back, thanks for coming back. So we're building a park in Planet Coaster. We are legitimately ripping off Gardaland. That's famously what we're saying. And guys, what a couple of weeks that's been. The whole Thorpe Park stuff just absolutely blew up. That was just awesome. Let's do that again in the spring, shall we? Yes, let's do it. So in the previous episode, this is what we were building. We were looking at our kids area. We were putting down a couple of flat rides, a couple of the track rides that are going on in here, and kitting it out with everything you would expect it to have. And we finished off with a splash pad. And then we came down into this area. We did this little plaza area, and we also did the Magic Cats along here. And then we stuck in a golden eagle just for the sake of it so that we could finish off the area. But this is not done yet. This is going to be in a future episode. It's not going to be episode 4, unfortunately. When I recorded the last one, I thought it was going to be 4. It's not. It's probably going to be 5 now because we've got Christmas. So yes, and we're going to focus our attentions on the new edition, the obvious change. What's this going on here? Well, this series I'm going to focus on putting in some coasters that I've not built before, so we're going to continue the trend, and we're going to start with a Vekoma STC. Wait, a what? A Vekoma STC. It's the new version of the SLCs. So it uses a much rounder profile of track. It's a lot smoother. It's a lot more thrilling, and it focuses more on airtime than it does inversions. It can invert, but it focuses more on inversions. And I'm going to show you how you can do this in game in a moment. But yes, look at this. It's just the track and everything. It's just got a very specific profile. So how to do this in the game? I am very aware that there is a mod that you can use, and you guys as my regular viewers will be very aware that that mod doesn't work on my PC, so I'm stuck with what the game can do. Now luckily for us, there is a thing that you can do. If you go into your settings and you go into game and then you scroll down, and you'll see this, disable track limits. So if I tick this, I can now have track limits of any length. I think it lets me go up to 4 meters. Now that means that the Steel Hydra track that I'm using here can now be set to 4 meters rather than, I think it's 10 or 12. That's the game default. And then I've also got an option up here for allowing more interchangeable coaster cars. So that means that I can have different trains on the track. Now the game lets you do that anyway, but there's an experimental way of putting more trains on the track. So what I've done here is I've swapped out Steel Hydra for the Boa trains. No, not the Boa trains, the other one. Viper 1 trains. I did originally have it as the Boa trains, and then because the Viper 1 trains are a bit bugged. If you try and select the Viper 1 train from the off, it's not going to work properly because it thinks it's on a shuttle coaster, so it doesn't actually stop at the station. But if you select the Boa, test it, and then change it to the Viper 1, it works. So happy days. So yeah, this is what I've done. I've used the Steel Hydra track and changed it out for the Viper 1 trains, and now you have a Vekoma STC. There's a couple of trade-offs that you're going to need. It's not perfect because, of course, it's not the actual. We're not doing it in its intended design. We're not doing it as it was designed. But hey, this is what we've got then. So we've got a lift hill. It's going up here, 35 degrees I think I set this at. They're actually relatively strong lift hills. This is going to need a lot of custom supporting, so please ignore the fact that these are the Steel Hydra tracks at the moment. It's going to be custom supported. Then we're going to come down into the first drop. This is the very similarly profiled to the one at Tripsdrill. I'm not even going to attempt to say the name because I'm just gonna butcher it. But it's the same profile, first drop, and then we come into a teardrop turn, I think they're called, and this is slightly differently profiled. They normally come up and over the top, so it would come around and over the top, but this one I wanted it to gain some speed for later on, so I actually sent it underneath. So as a result, the profiling here is a little bit weird, but this is kind of correct. It's almost like it's got the same profiling as a Cobra roll to an extent. So yeah, it looks a bit weird, but I've checked it out. This is correct. And then it goes into an overhead stall turn. and then it comes into another turn. Now, the beauty of these coasters is they are really versatile, and you can throw them into 90-degree, really sharp turns, and it loves it. So that's what you do. They actually have very similar profiling to the Mack turns if you do a proper Mack turn. But the difference is this is obviously inverted. Then we're going to come into this weird inversion. Obviously, it needs supports and stuff, but this weird inversion, this is also on the Tripsdrill one. This one is going in reverse to it. So it comes round into a turn, and then it continues into a zero G. And then it comes down this way into an airtime hill, and then another airtime hill, into another tight turn that's coming around this way, into its final inversion as second 0G roll, into a final turn, and then into the brake run. So it's actually a relatively long but short coaster at the same time. Just so you know, by the way, do you know why these are flat? 0G rolls are flat on the top on inverted coasters? It's because of the G-forces. If you continue it up and down as if it were a hill, you'd get whiplash, because the train is being forced up and then it's being forced to be dragged back down again. So that's why you have to flatten off your 0G rolls. But when you're on a seated version, it's fine to have it because of the way that you're inverted, you don't get the same whiplash. So that's why these are flat on the top, and even the STCs are flat as well. So yeah, this is good. So this is not going to be Mayan theme or adventure theme. We're going for a different theme. Ignore the fact that this is all the flowers and stuff. This is just because I've been doing some terrain work. But yeah, it's not going to be main theme, so I'm going to shut up and I'm going to show you what that theme is. So it's the middle bit of the episode that nobody actually bothers to watch. So let's put this to the test. Icon is an overrated coaster. Change my mind. Okay, so here we go. I've done lots of work on this one, and we're starting to come together. So we're going for a Canadian theme, like a Canadian mountain theme on this one. And I'm going for like a Fey hut feeling on this one. You know, the whole stone, wooden kind of clad huts that you find quite often in the Canadian mountains. So obviously I've never been to Canada, so I'm very much working from reference images. So please forgive me if you are Canadian and I am ruining something that is beloved to you. Because that's what we do here. So this is what we're dealing with here. I wanted to be a bit of an L shape, and I've got two different styles in mind that both merge together to create the one style. So of course this is just a mess at the moment, and this is how the middle parts of the episodes always work. So what we're going for here, all of the wooden beams and the wooden walls with the stone stone foundations that are going on here. It's very similar actually to Megaphobia in Oakwood, that kind of style, but I think Megaphobia is probably a little bit more gothic than it is Canadian mountainside. But yeah, we're going for this kind of hut area, this hut theme, and this is going to be some kind of a decking area or a patio area. And then I wanted to start to put in this idea of flower beds and stuff, but I'm trying this new idea because this is on the side of a hill. I wanted to have it in layers, so or in like staggered steps. So this is the first thing that I'm going to try, and I think I might put it down here as well. So anyway, watch this space on that one. I need to finish off the railings and stuff here. They're not quite finished. But coming over to this side, this is where the main bulk of the work on the inverted commas hut has actually come across. So you can see that I'm starting to put all of the wood and everything in here, and we've got all of the poles and the beams sticking out of the stone. So this is actually looking pretty much how I wanted it to. Of course, I just need to finish it. This is possibly a little bit too big for a Fey hut. They tend to be quite small. They're the ones that you find on the side of the mountains and used as like holiday cottages and stuff like that. But it's still effective. I wanted to put the bunting and stuff along here because I wanted it to feel like it was a bit more of a restaurant-y type thing. Something a bit bigger, something that's got a bit more commercial use, maybe. And then the queue line, you've already seen in the first update, but I've just put some of the fencing and stuff all along here, so you can see that it needs a lot of tidying up and a lot of stuff doing to it. But yeah, I've just put the queue line fencing down, and I've started to put the don't die fencing in place, so I know that we've got some kind of physical perimeter and some physical boundary that's going along in here, so you can see that it's split here. And then I've also just put it along here as well, just to stop people from falling down into the ride area if they're ever evacuated from this point here. So I just wanted to make sure that this is still safe, because it is still a drop down this way, and it is still an active ride area. So Just making sure that that's all okay. So when we go inside the actual hut itself, there we go. So I've tried to kit this out as much as I possibly can using reference images from inside these Fey huts. It's a bit of tidying up that I need to do. This is all a little bit rough around the edges and stuff, so of course I need to tidy this up. But yeah, this is this idea. They have like stucco walls and wood on the walls. It reminds me quite a lot of doing the Tudor stuff, just with less wood and less beams and stuff that's going on in here. Now I wanted to have some kind of balcony or mezzanine in here because otherwise this building was just too empty and too tall. The idea of this is it's supposed to be tall, but I wanted to have something just to break it up a little bit. So that's what I've done in here. And then I don't know if you can see it very well on the video, but inside here I'm starting to put all of the mechanisms and stuff in place that these inverted coasters would use. So here's a girder, and it's in line with the actual track itself, and this would be where all of the mechanisms for the restraints and everything would be kept. By the way, for the record, when you use let me just get a decent camera. I'm just going to pause it for a second so you can show it, so I can show you. When you use the Viper 1 trains on the Steel Hydra trains, because the Steel Hydra trains are really tall, you're going to need ladders to get in here. So, like, bring a ladder because or you're going to have to jump. Bring a ladder or jump. It's ridiculous. So it's one of the drawbacks, one of the one of the trade-offs we've had to have in this episode is the fact you need to bring a ladder to a theme park. Oh dear. And so yeah, what I've done along this side as well is just put in all of the numbers, so numbered for the rows. You've seen me do this before. It's something that I like doing, especially when you're adding that realism. Needs a lot of touching up in here. Needs a Thememaker's Toolkit pass, but this is the general feel that I'm going for. It's this whole wood and mezzanine area and the white walls and stuff. So I'm liking how this is actually turned out. And then we're going to come out to the gift shop. So the gift shop itself, I wanted to have a slightly different feel, so I've gone for the stone flooring in here. Of course, it's the ride photos. We wouldn't be complete without ride photos. And yes, the return of Desk B. And I needed to do a bit of touching up in here because I've changed the walls out and stuff. So I need to put an actual wall in the background here. But of course, you know how this is going to work. And it wouldn't be a chat show episode unless we're staring at a wall that you can't see anything. There you go. So I've also made this functional. We've got some actual shops going on in here. So this is working absolutely fine. And as I said at the beginning, I've just done the frontage here. And I've also deliberately done this bit as well. So I wanted there to be a near miss on this corner because you do actually take this corner at quite some speed. So what I've done here is I've made sure that the banking on the track is of a 90 degrees, and then it interacts really, really closely with the roof itself. So we're going to be able to see this actually as the train comes down, because you can see the speed that this is actually being taken at. And there you go. And then you get your near miss with the roof. So I'm actually quite pleased, quite chuffed with how that is. And then down this way, I'm starting to think of the access into the area, because it is on the side of a hill. I wanted there to be two different access points, so you can either go up the ramp or up the stairs. And of course, because it's stairs, you've then got the railings and the rails and stuff in here. So that's all in place. And then yes, I've just put all of the don't die fencing and the perimeter fencing and stuff around the outside. And of course, if you haven't already noticed, I've done the custom supporting. Now I don't know if I have done it completely correctly. I've researched where they would be, and do you know what? I'm kind of in that frame of mind that even if I had have researched where to put every single support in every single place, somebody out there is still going to tell me I'm wrong. So hey, you might as well just carry on. So I've done the best I can with the supporting. It's as relevant as I can possibly get it. I've done some research on these, but because we've got no frame of reference in the UK or in my experience, I don't really know. There's a couple of trade-offs that I have had to make, like these supports are a little bit too wide for the track that it's doing, but if I had them any narrower, then it's going to start clipping into here, and actually this just looks better than doing it right. And then I've also started this bit in here as well, so we've got all of these sunken down areas where the ride goes pretty much beneath ground level. So I am going to do the hill and everything down here in later episodes once I know what's going to come later on in the park, this is still going to be on the side of the hill. So this hill that we're on, that we're going down here, is actually going to continue upwards here, and then all of these sunken areas are then going to make sense. I promise it'll all make sense. So I just started to put all of the retaining walls and everything in here, and then just put the mulch just to give it a little bit of a level of the, as like I say, as you already know, this is all going to make sense when the foliage and the flowers and everything go in. So that's just and they've done the maintenance area. I was just about to end it then. No, you don't get off that lightly. So I've done the maintenance area, really simple maintenance area that these guys have. Looking at the trips drill one, it's actually just the same. It's like a really, really simple maintenance area where you just have the stuff, you know, typical things that you find in here. Needs a roof. They're also open on the front here. They don't have any kind of shutters or anything. It's really weird. It's going to get cold in the winter, right? It's going to be really, really cold. But it is what it is. You choose to work there. So I've kitted it out in here. This is the top end. So this is how it looks right now. And I reckon we should just skip to how it looks at the end. Icons overrated. And now for the bit that you all seem to skip to. It's the end of the episode. Please. I don't mind, by the way. Can you just let me know what you'd rather see instead of the build-up? So welcome, Benessi, to the park. I think that's how you say it anyway. So Invictus 676568. Catchy username, well done. Thank you so much for your suggestion. I love the backstory to this, by the way. The Ojibwe, I think that's how you say it. The indigenous people of Canada, anyway, used to have their own language, and Benessi actually means Thunderbird in that indigenous language. So thank you so much for the suggestion. Absolutely love it. It's perfect for this ride. So thank you. And here we go. This is how it looks from the top. Look at just how it comes together when you put all of the foliage and everything in place. Like, it just looks perfect. Oh, fair warning, you can see there's a lot of trees, so with my camera skills, this is going to be an interesting part of the episode. So here we go. This is the view that we started at then. This is like a focal point that I actually wanted to have in this part of the park. I wanted to have these stairs going up the hill, and I also wanted to have the ramp. So you saw this in the early part, especially as this is on the side of a hill. So I wanted to make a feature of that side of the hill. So obviously we've got the ramp and the stairs. And I did this actually in Chachalandia with the wing coaster. In fact, I also did it in Reigate Lake as well, going up the hill, where I stole the idea from Hershey Park. And I just love how this sort of thing looks. It just looks authentic as a park. Now, the one thing that I have tried to do here, but it's a little bit difficult to do with the profiling, and forgive the fact that they clip through. In the UK, you're not supposed to have any more than 16 risers in any kind of stairs without some kind of a break or some kind of a turn. Now, we're not in the UK, so I'm going by Italian law, and this is actually acceptable as far as I can tell in Italian law, but I'm just acknowledging that we would normally have some kind of refuge area in the middle of these stairs, and then it would continue. So but yeah, so please don't rip me apart for that one. I've researched it, it's fine. And so yes, here we go. The ride sign, by the way, I have just made it up. It's just TMTK fonts, and the mountains in the background, they're actually the Tripwise font. I've used the eyes, like the letter I, to create the mountains and the snow peaks, and it looks all right. Spike, if you're watching, that's all I'll say. So I've just thrown it together, you know, typical ride sign. Then of course you've got the fast pass and the main queue. I'm loving how the foliage in this area really starts to like bring it all together. It hides the ride enough, but it also gives enough of a sight line. So like if we come back to this area here, just look at how good this is. It feels complete. It feels awesome. Like, oh, I'm just so chuffed with how this has turned out. Like, I'm going to keep saying it this series. I can already feel it. And so underneath here, I wanted to have some kind of a picnic area. And I wanted to sort of like bring it together, bring it to life with this seating area. I've set it just off where the track goes over the top, so it's not a collision risk with anything falling from the trains and stuff. So it's set back. But this area was otherwise a dead area. There was nothing really I could put in here. I mean, I could have put some food stalls or something in, but I've actually decided against it. A seating area actually seems to work. It seems to work well enough, so we're just going to go with that. I've also lined off all of the paths with either the rockwork or the same, what are they called? Poles, pillars, whatever, along the side that I have done elsewhere in the park, so it's consistent. And I've also bought the flowers and everything down this way as well. I wanted to have that consistent feeling, but look at how rich this vegetation looks. It just looks perfect. Like this is how I wanted it to be. I wanted this to be a relatively well kept but well like overgrown area. Like established is the word. Established is established. This is the view that you get then when you're coming from the main path. So you can see the main lift hill. You can't see the drop. You can't see the turnaround, and then suddenly this coaster appears flying towards you and then comes back round. So you get a really good sight of the actual coaster itself. Then the queue line, I've not really done much to it now because we've got quite a few trees and quite a lot of shade is being cast. I haven't actually put queue covers in this one. I did originally have some queue covers here, and it's still questionable as to whether I should, but actually it turns out this ride doesn't develop that much of a queue. This queue would only ever be used in like last resort, stupidly busy days, as you can see with this one, because of the way that the game is calculating the demand, because it thinks it's only got one train despite the fact it's got two. People aren't really willing to queue up for that long, so they're actually just only getting to this cattle pen, and there's enough shade here to actually prevent it from being an issue. So I'm just going with that. In fact, we probably could have gotten away with not having such a long queue, but hey, it's going to be a busy theme park, so we're gonna have it. And now you can see here as well. This is how I've started to put that. What are they called? The set downs. I don't know what it's called. The trench, if you like, the trench, where we've had to lower the terrain on the side of the hill to actually fit the coaster in. Now, in terms of law, it doesn't really feel like that makes sense anymore because the coaster would just be higher, but it kind of does, because when you watch the train speed between here and here, it actually loses quite a lot of its energy. So it would make sense for it to have been dug down, but it also would have made sense for them to have perhaps raised the terrain in this area and had the coaster starting higher. So it's a bit of a 50-50 trade-off on that one. But I just like how it looks now that it's sat in the trench and the trench is overgrown and it's starting to have a bit of character to it. So it's fine, we'll go with it. And I've also put in a little bit of the hill back at the back. So as I've already said, it's like it's on the side of a hill, and I wanted to really make a point of that. So that's why this part up here is higher and it's taller, and it's going to come down the hill, down the hill, down the hill, and eventually it's going to come like down here really quite low. So you're going to be able to see how much there is of a drop off. So that's what I'm going for there. So then we come into the station itself. So we're going to come through the brake run, which I quite like that this backs onto the brake run. It's just got like a little bit of personality. It's a bit weird. But I don't know where else I'd put the brake run. I mean, look, you get pretty good views of the coaster from here, so it's good. So yeah, coming into the actual station itself, it's just all the final details and the touching up that's done in here. So you can hear music. So we've got some ride music, and I've put all the bins and the benches. No, don't put benches in here. I put all of the bins in here and all of the usual station clutter. We've now got staff. We've now got push points. We've also got no entry signs because this is open, so guests could theoretically walk through there. So we've got no entry signs on that side, and then no entry signs on the other side as well. Baggage holds and everything. I mean, I think the baggage hold and everything was in the last update, right? So that's fine. And then, of course, you've got your ride operator cabin over this side. And we're going to come through this way into the shop. I've kept the shop nice and simple. I've kept it nice and clean. I didn't want to do too much detailing and too much stuff in here because it was going to be a little bit overkill. If you've got any ideas on what we could do in terms of Canadian theming other than putting a Canadian flag up, then let me know, because I've never visited Canada, so I don't really know what the insides of the buildings are supposed to look like. I think this looks good. I think it looks okay, but yeah, we shall see. Oh, there's one thing actually that I do need to show you. These were my original windows. So these are the original windows that I put in here. I've left these here for now, but I have actually swapped them out on the main building for Theme Maker's Toolkit ones. These just look way better, like way better. So that's what I did. Well, I've just kept those in so I can show you the difference between the two. So yeah, there we go. There's the ride photos. Ride photos. It's not going to be complete without it, right? Exit via the gift shop. So we've got some ride photos in, and I've just done the usual trick. The camera is placed at mid-course, and I've taken pictures of them using screenshots from Steam at the actual ride photo point, whilst using the on-ride camera, and then just loaded them into the game and put them onto the screens. So that's what I've done there. And we come out this way. And then this is the outside of the building. So the outside of the building is now looking like a proper log cabin. I just love it. Like, yeah, this is how I wanted it to look. I did think when I was designing the stuff before all the foliage and stuff in that this wasn't actually detailed enough, but I now think it's just about right. I think it's just about got enough of the right level of detail for it to be believable now that we've got the trees and everything to distract from it. So it's no longer this is no longer the focal point. We've got the stuff that's going on at the back here. So I really, yeah, I'm liking how this has turned out. And then coming back down from this way, this is just the front of the other building. Oh, good timing. Guys, I have a habit of doing that. So this is the cabin from the front. Again, I've not swapped out the windows on this one because they would be different windows. So I wanted to keep the original ones in here, but as I said, I swapped them out on the other cabin. And this is just nice and simple. I've just finished off the decking. I've just put all the planters and stuff in here. I actually decided down here to not do the staggered, the steps down flower beds and stuff. I am going to do it. I'm going to use it again, but it didn't feel right down here. It actually felt like this area here lent itself to a bit of a seating area, so that's exactly what I did. Just put a seating area in. I could have stuck a ride in there, you know, like a small capacity, like a Wendigo, not a Wendigo, that's the roller coaster, Whirly-Rig or whatever, something like that. But no, it felt like it needed a seating area, so that's what I've done, a seating area. I've also, by the way, just come down this way and started to put the foliage and stuff in here as well. This wasn't in before. And I wanted to have something that brought the adventure theme down into the hill. So I've just put these in with different colours, and then I've just put some trees and stuff in here. And this actually makes the Magic Hats here look a bit more sense. It now has a bit more sense going to it. So I'm liking this. Next episodes, then I'm going to focus on what's going to come down here. So of course I've not actually done anything down this way. And then we've got the railway is now coming up this way, and I've also put all of the gravel and stuff in here. And I do just want to talk about this bit because it is interacting with the path, and people are going to walk through it like that. It is interacting with the path, and that's kind of by design. I've seen this in a couple of other parks where they've sort of gone, we need to put a coaster in, but we can't really move the path because it's on the side of a hill, and we need to have the support in this very specific area. So this is kind of what they do. They don't change where the path is, they just plonk the support down. So I wanted this to feel like the path came before the supports, and that's exactly how it is. That's exactly how this is going to look. And of course this is going to make a bit more sense when I've altered the terrain and put the stuff in that I'm going to put in here. I've got some plans for some rides, and it also had to feel disjointed as well. I wanted this plaza area for this coaster to feel disjointed to whatever's coming in here, even though it's the same theme, because the coaster came in and it's just going to cut the area in two. So watch this space. It's not going to be the next episodes, but it is brewing. It is coming. So there you go. Okay, so back to here then, guys. So just to wrap off the episode. I mean, look. Ah, yes. I love it. Yeah. I didn't know if the STC was going to work in this park. I really didn't, and I've never built one before. But actually, it's turned out to be all right. So this is Benessi. Thank you very much. So, guys, I actually now have a space here. I could put a small coaster in here. I'm going to put a poll on the community tab, so you know where to find it. What coaster goes in here? I think there'll be 3 or 4 choices, so have a look for that. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for getting to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for skipping to this part. Now, guys, next week is Christmas, so I don't know what's going to happen with episodes. I haven't quite decided. Depending on what the poll reveals, it should be on what we call Boxing Day, which is the 26th, but I don't know yet. But it will definitely be very close to afterwards. I just need to get my stuff in order so I can get it all done. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for getting to the end. If you are celebrating Christmas, please have a good Christmas. Otherwise, if not, please have a good weekend. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.